Welcome back to Hope Wednesday. I am Elisa Flakes, your psychoeducational facilitator, where we combine faith and mental health. I'm so excited about this month because this month is celebrating women and celebrating mothers. So we are going to be looking at one of the most important relationships on the earth. I don't know if you've heard it before, but there's a saying, and it says, "The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world." And what that means is that a mother's impact is so important, and it is so lasting, and it shapes the character and the characteristic of humanity. So it is important that we look at how do we interact with our mothers and what's going on with our mothers. Again, this is a psychoeducational platform. It is not therapy. We're just starting the conversation. And hopefully, after you hear this message, you'll be inclined to dig deeper and maybe even get some help. And my prayer for you today is that God would meet us here, because there is so much happening in our world, and it can be traced back to our relationship with our caregiver, our mothers. Some of us had aunts as mothers. Some of us had grandmothers as mothers. Some of us had sisters as mothers. Some of us had friends as mothers, caregivers, adoptees, whomever played that role. It is a significant role. But particularly today, we're going to be looking at the mother wound. And so I ask God to join us, because we all need healing. This is a broken and fallen world. No one's perfect. So we're not demonizing mothers, but we're trying to peer into their experience and our experience, and so that we can heal and thrive. Thriving in our relationship with our mother, that is the bedrock of our mental health. Right after God, it's our mother, because we were in our mother's womb. She nourished us, she nurtured us, and what we did not get, our deficits, are the result of our relationship with our mother. That is our first trust relationship. So it's really big. It's a big deal, you all. It's significant. It's so significant that even in psychology, we see when there's someone who is psychotic, say Norman Bates, and it showed the dynamics of his relationship with his mother. When we have serial killers, and when we have rapists, and we have men who beat their wives, there's so much connected to their relationship with their mother. God gave this role, and he intended for it to be a blessing. But sometimes it is not a blessing. And sometimes there's wounds. And usually, well, I would say this, not even usually, broken people hurt people. You know, they say hurt people hurt people. So there is a deficit. So let's hop into it. The mother wound. I don't know if you've heard it a lot, but it's kind of a catchy phrase, and it is used to describe the relationship with your mother and how it impacts you. The mother wound is the emotional pain and resulting patterns of dysfunction that can be passed down through generations in the relationships between the mother and the daughter. I would also say to the sons, but okay, we'll just focus on, just getting out what it is. And sons, if you can glean into this, because it does affect how you love a woman. It does affect how she is the first woman that you'll ever love. She is the first woman that you'll ever trust. And if that is broken, there is a result of that. So let's dive in. So listen through both ears, males and females. And we want to be able to help one another. So what does it look like to have a mother's wound? We already described what it is. Now we want to know what it looks like. What does it look like? How will I know if I have a mother wound? Or what's wrong with me? Well, it could be a lot of things, but as it pertains to mothering and the mother wound, it looks like a person who has low self-esteem and low self-worth. Remember how someone cares for you, and we talked about this last month in self-care. How someone cares for you relays value to you. So if they're attentive to your cry, if they're attentive to your needs, that conveys the message that you are valuable and that you are important and your cry matters. Just this morning, I was singing a song, Jesus, I love you because you cared. And I had a little dialogue with my husband, and he was trying to understand the dynamics of that song. And I said, that is the epitome of our human experience. Care, right? We want to know who cares. Even the disciples, when they were on the boat with Jesus and the storm came, they said, Master, Master, carest not that we perish. The reason why we want to know if someone cares is because value and worth is associated with care. So when we feel like no one cares, we feel like ultimately we're not valuable. So when someone responds to our needs, takes care of us, is respectful to us as children and as babies, and they are loving to us, and we feel the love, that conveys self-worth and value. And as human beings, we need to feel connected, and we need to feel like we are valuable and that we matter and that we have purpose and that we are safe. Because if you are valuable, you are safe. We're all seeking safety, and we're going to get into that, but we're all seeking safety. And then if you are someone who has a mother wound, you probably lack boundaries. You probably don't respect, how people should love you, or even how you love people, because you were never taught that you were respected and that you could say no, and that your needs matter. What you want in life matters. Where you want to go matters. How you want to do things matter. So you're just usually boundaryless. People can usually just run over you, and you don't know how to stick up for yourself because there's no self to be connected to, and there's no self to value. So that's really important to know. If you lack boundaries, if people are abusing you and running over you, it is most likely because you have a mother wound, and your mother didn't teach you that you were valuable. You should not be taken advantage of. Men should not exploit you sexually, and you should not be in relationships that don't honor you. You learn honor from your first relationship with your mom, but if that's not there, you don't know how to take care of yourself. You didn't see that happen for you in your life, so you lack boundaries. And then there's difficulty expressing your feelings, right? Because you have not got your needs met, so you learn to be silenced. You learn to suffer in silence. When a baby cries and no one responds to that baby learns to self-soothe. And it also teaches the baby that you can't depend on other people. There's no one coming to your rescue, so there's no need to cry. There's no need to express yourself. Or in some cases, you may have expressed yourself, and your mom may have gotten angry. You're selfish, you're spoiled, shut up. Just your emotions were met with so much resistance and so much condemnation that you felt that my feelings are bad. So you learn to silence yourself, and you have a very difficult time asking for what you need, expressing what hurts, and just saying what's going on with you, because you haven't explored your emotions. You've had to stuff them to survive, because we'll go back to the top, because you've felt like no one cares. No one cares. So if you don't set boundaries, you can't set expectations to protect yourself. So you're in a vicious cycle of continuously being hurt. And then part of the emotional pain resulting from the mother wound and some of the dysfunction that is passed down is perfectionism and overachieving. And that comes because you want to prove, I have worth, I have value. So I'm going to take 500 jobs and I'm going to show the world that I am a valuable person. I'm going to show everyone why I should be loved, why I am important. I need self-esteem because I don't have it. So I'm going to keep chasing the degree, keep chasing the promotion, keep chasing the looks, and keep chasing the diet so I can be a perfect size and keep presenting well. My house has to be model status so that I can show value. I have to have the designer stuff so that I can show value, because remember, value shows worth and care. And it also means I'm connected and someone's going to love me and I'm safe. We're all seeking safety. I'm going to keep throwing that at you, because at the foundation of this wound is a lack of feeling safe, a lack of feeling secure. So you overachieve, you're perfect, you're hard on yourself, which is counterproductive to your self-worth, because perfection does not exist. Perfection is a mythical place, and it does not exist. God is perfection. I take that back. Perfection is God, and that is God in heaven. But here on earth, we will never have the capacity to be perfect. It is just going to be a continuous effort where you will never meet that goal, because we were made to be loved just the way we are. The Bible tells us that while we were yet in our sins, Christ died for us. So we don't have to strive with perfectionism to be loved. But the mother wound will make you feel like, if I'm good enough, if I get the degree, if I do this, then my mom will see me, and then my mom will think that I'm good enough, and then I'll get the love, and then I'll feel valued, and then I'll feel safe, and then I'll feel connected. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. The mother wound and the attachment style, I wanted to go over that a little bit with you all, because it affects how we attach to other people. It is our first experience, like I stated. And so it teaches us how to connect to other people, how to connect to friends, how to connect to opposite sex romantic relationships. And it puts us in a disposition to where either we're anxious in our attachment style, where we're insecure and we're anxious, or, we're clingy. That's the word for that. We're clingy and we're obsessive. The 20 texts, YWD, and where are you at? And what are you doing? And that obsessiveness that people have. Yes, sometimes it's stalky and for control, but sometimes it comes from the mother wound because you don't feel secure. You haven't felt secure in your most prominent relationship, which is your relationship with your mother. So now you get in relationships and you want to know, am I connected? Am I safe? And you're so hypersensitive to any indication that would make you feel like you're being abandoned. Any implication that makes you feel that you are being neglected, any implication that makes you feel that you're not valuable or that you are not being considered, it triggers you, which means it causes that emotional reenactment of being lonely and feeling disconnected. And so you react. And how do you react? You could either react in anger, or you can react with more anxiousness and more control to try to get back into that space of connection. It's all about connection. We came to earth with our mom, connected to her umbilical cord. We share nutrients. So there is a dependency on our mom that we have that's very unique. And for the first years of life, the mother and the child have a symbiotic connection, and they co-regulate, meaning that the mom emotionally regulates the child. If the mom is anxious, the child will be anxious. If the mom is relaxed, the child will be relaxed. So there is a dependency on the mom for moods. But what happens when we are in a situation where we didn't get our needs met? We are stunted. We have arrested development. And so we're still trying to get that connection that we didn't get. So we find ourselves the clingy friend. We find ourselves the overbearing friend and the controlling friend, or the friend who needs a lot of attention, or the friend who needs a lot of security, or the friend that may be envious when you step out with other friends. And that comes from a place of the mother wound. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, because God made us to be connected. Sin separates us, but God and our weaknesses separate us, but God meant for us to feel safety and security and connection. And then there's the avoidant. If you're someone out there and you just refuse to trust people because it's been your experience that I couldn't even trust my mom or my caregiver. So I don't really do people because I don't want to be hurt. So one way to protect myself is to just not get connected, to just not be really close to people, just handle people at a distance, don't get intimate. Don't tell them who I really am. Just kind of show them a little bit of the surface, but don't let anyone near my heart, the intimacy of who I am. So I avoid close relationships. I may have lots of friends and I may not even be personal with any of them because I don't want to get too close. I don't want to feel disappointment. I don't want to try to connect and then be rejected. And that happens, and you get in relationships where people can't commit. It goes back to the mother wound because they're afraid to trust. And then there's this disorganized attachment where it's in the middle, where you really want the connection and you send people the messages that you want the connection, that you want to be the friend, you want to be the mate. But then when intimacy rolls in and you have to express your needs, you can't express your needs because you've learned that your needs will not get met. And verbalizing them will only make you sadder because then the person knows what you need and they still refuse to care and to meet your needs. So that disorganized is kind of like the bipolar of attachment. You're clingy, you're running towards a person, and then when the person runs back towards you, you're just like, I need space, I need time, or you ghost them, or you break up with them, or you kind of go off in another direction because it's too close and you're not comfortable, with trusting. It is a trust issue. There's difficulty in trusting others because you fear abandonment. That is a real fear. That is a real fear, abandonment. No one wants to feel left and disconnected. And so people live with the pain of being disconnected and not having the courage or the healing. They haven't been healed, so they cannot take the steps toward securing a healthy relationship. It's the deep bonding is so disrupted. If you can't bond with other people, you have to check because it's stemming from your mother wound and not feeling really connected with your mom. And when you look at your relationship with other people, I want you to look at your relationship with your mom because it stems from that. Every relationship, that's the foundation. It stems from it. You overcompensate. You probably work real hard in relationships because you're trying to heal a disrupted mother connection.